Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To honor the many families, first responders, and servicemen that lost their lives on September 11, 2001, we are very fortunate to have 4 servicemen of our very own United States Marine Corps and United States Navy present our nation's color of red, white, and blue and our state flag tonight. Not only do these men give of themselves every day in defense of our country, they have enthusiastically and generously given of their time to make this evening special here at Larrabee Stadium, the home of the Cougars. Tonight's color guard is comprised of Honor Guard Private First Class Brandon Weiss, USMC from Ventura, California. Honor Guard Private First Class USMC Elijah Matrano from Ventura, California. California Flag Bearer Lance Corporal USMC Moses Esther Quinta from Ventura, California. And American Flag Bearer Committee Officer First Class Nicholas Coker, U.S. Navy from Orangeburg, Missouri. At this time, we'd like everyone to stand up to salute our nation's flag.
And welcome to Larrabee Stadium as the Ventura Cougars take on the Rio Mesa Spartans 14 years ago today. They will never forget. Let's listen in to Stadium Public Address Announcer Dean Proffitt. A fine way to start this Friday night. As we remember September 11th, I was actually a student at this school. I think all of us will share our memories of that day throughout the night tonight, but really a fine tribute to open things up. My name is Danny Page. With me, Kent Brown, the Deuce, Derry Eads, and down on the sidelines making his Game of the Week debut, we welcome in Will Cowan. Will, you had a first-hand look at a really moving presentation of the colors.
Absolutely. Tremendous presentation in honor of 9/11 and very nice tribute, very touching.
As we shift our focus to the game here, Ventura against Rio Mesa. Deuce, the Cougars obviously on an incredible run last year to the CIF championship game, but they have some holes to fill, and they really don't feel like they've completely filled them yet. Let's put it that way.
Well, one of the big questions was were they able to find a big-time running back, and certainly Brock Mortensen through the first 2 games has really filled that. He's had like 3 plays of over 64 yards, and that is pretty amazing. So the guy has obviously some great breakaway speed. It's always a threat when you can score each time you get the ball. And so then, the receiving, Sauerland he's hurt from what you said. And so that's a big-time loss because he is really an outstanding receiver and was probably the number one guy coming back from last year.
We bring in Kent Brown, and Kent, obviously, some big play threats for the Cougars, but on the other side of the ball as well. When you look at two Division I players who will play both ways for Rio Mesa, in Steve Houston and Jonathan Leonard.
Yeah, Houston going up to Pullman, Washington with Wazoo and that wide-open offense. And then for Leonard, he's a two-way guy. Big-time safety, recruited at San Diego State for the safety position, but he'll also be all over the field on offense. So when you have those type of weapons, whether it's Guerrero in the first quarter or Maciel in the second quarter, you have some comfortability with who you can pass the ball to. So tonight, if you're the Cougars defense, you watch out for number 7 Houston and you watch out for number 10 Leonard. If you can contain those two, you have a pretty good chance of winning this game.
Well, we talked about in our Periscope pregame show the direction that the Rio Mesa program is headed in. Obviously, we got to know Bob Gregorchuk so well as the head coach, but Jim Bittner, not Jim Bittner Jr., just the son of Jim Bittner, has taken over as the head coach. Your impression so far on Coach Bittner with the Rio Mesa program?
Well, it's a great football family, and obviously Coach Bittner's done a tremendous job. He's really happy. Says they've played a great 6 quarters this year, and he really feels like they're on the right track to building a program and a real family back at Rio Mesa. So that's been fun to watch, that development.
How is it, do you think, for Coach Bittner going from the community college level, obviously, back to the high school level as the Cougars get set to take the field? You obviously are the athletic director at Ventura College. It certainly has to be a different type of challenge.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal. They're both different animals in their own way. The college game is so much faster, and it's a longer game, and a lot of the possessions, there's just more plays. The high school game can be over with quickly, and it's really important at the high school level to work really well in the off season to keep the students engaged and involved in schools. There's many other challenges he's facing now as a high school head coach as opposed to at the college level.
And you have a kid for 4 years in high school. And in the JCs, you have the kid for maybe 1 or 2 years, and that's it.
It's really a year and a half because in football they're gone after their 3rd semester of college. So it's in high school you have the opportunity to really develop the entire player and teach a system over the 4-year period of time, and it looks like Rio Mesa is committed to doing so.
Well, Tim Garcia, Deuce, has certainly put his stamp on this Ventura program. They come in 1-1. And I think the first quote from the interview I had this week with Coach Garcia is, we should have beaten Thousand Oaks. That's a bold statement for where TO is right now.
Thousand Oaks is really good. I mean, I think they're top 3 in Ventura County right now. You look at Calabasas and Westlake and Oaks Christian. I think those 4 teams are definitely the cream of Ventura County at this time.
Ken, when we look at a team like Ventura then that comes in at 1-1, they have played, as they would say, 6 good quarters. Who starts the game tonight? How do they make sure they start with a positive performance?
Yeah, it's all about not turning the ball over, making smart plays. And, of course, when you come out of the gate, you want to get off to that early start, put pressure on the opposition. If you're inconsistent, the worst place to start off is to start off poorly. So I think if you're Ventura tonight, you come off well, you look sharp, look for efficient plays, and then build from there. Because otherwise, all of a sudden, this Rio Mesa team and their offensive playmakers, you're behind the 8 ball, you can be in some trouble.
Stand up for the kickoff, the tradition at Ventura. Brock Mortensen and Rico Stubbs will be back deep to receive for Ventura in the black uniforms with, look at that, Derry, gold numbers. Isn't that helpful? In the camo pants.
Lovely.
It's a short kick, fair catch called for, and taken by the Cougars at the 38-yard line. Deuce, that's something that you're not very fond of, is it, these 25-yard kickoffs?
No, I mean, you give that opposing team a chance to get great field position to start out with. You might as well just be kicking it out of bounds.
Or maybe even try for the onside at that point and see if you can get lucky. Yeah, I'm with you. You kick it deep, and then you build your special teams up and tell them where to tackle, where to fill the lanes, because now they're a first down, and if they get a first down, they're already at midfield.
We'll get our first look at the running back spot at Brock Mortensen. who comes in with 76 yards receiving, 107 on the ground as well. Taking over for Tyler Peralta as Tyler Smith, the senior, sprints to the left side, throws across his body, and the Cougars are across midfield for a first down. Up and going, Eric Austin. Hey, Will, a big loss for the Cougars, though, that we've talked about. Zach Sauerwein. Boy, he was a talented player the last couple seasons.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and you can see right away Rio Mesa defensive line very active, trying to crowd that box, as you can see there, and try to keep the Cougars contained because the loss of Sauerwein, likely more running plays to come tonight.
I think one thing as we look at this Ventura team the last couple years is Tyler Peralta was getting 30, 40 carries a game. I'm just not sure we're going to see that with Mortensen.
Well, no, I mean, if you're going to be able to get a chance to get 60, 70 yards, you'll have fewer opportunities to carry the ball.
Yeah, and of
then
course,
the ball's in the other team's hands most of the game.
And now that means Tyler Smith will definitely have more of the offense on his shoulders at this point as well until they see what they can get out of Mortensen. As you said, he's been productive in both receiving and obviously rushing, but rushing, he's not quite what Peralta was to this point last year.
2 quick runs, only a couple yards, and Smith goes to work on third down. He completes the pass to Mortensen, who gets away from one, scoots forward to the 40. Are they setting it up to go for it on fourth down, you think?
You would think so. That was just a quick throw to the outside, screen pass. You get your playmaker in space. He made a few guys miss, but now it looks like they're sending on the special teams unit. An interesting call on third down if you are going to punt. So I'm not sure if they really thought he was good enough to beat all of the defenders on that side, or maybe that was just the open throw and they took what they had.
Little surprised by this, Will, aren't you? I would have seen Ventura going for it.
Yeah, this particular part, well, they just got the old shift there, and the looks like probably an encroachment penalty here on its way. This pace of the Cougar offense is phenomenal so far. Between snaps, there's probably 10 to 12 seconds between plays.
The defense just has to be set so quickly. It's not always necessarily that they snap the football, but they are set and ready to snap the football if the defense isn't prepared. And that goes against Rio Mesa.
First down.
Well, what it does is it kind of keeps the defense more vanilla, and it doesn't allow Coach Bittner's staff to call as many exotic stunts, blitzes, and coverages.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you keep the same players on the field, you can't go to sub packages, you can't bring in plenty of calls. At that point, you're kind of just going with the basic defense, and that's so much of what these quick offenses want.
Well, so far it's been a straight four-man rush.
Mortensen makes his way down to the 25-yard line. That's right at the sticks, and I believe they'll mark it a half yard short. We might even see a measurement, Dub C. You're right in front of the play.
First down.
No, they eyeballed that one.
And the Cougars ready to go to work again. Just 2 minutes plus into this game. Mortensen picks up 3 or 4.
He kind of slides in there. He doesn't have the great pop that we're used to seeing for some of these backs. He finds his holes, reads the blocks really well.
Smith to throw, screen pass, complete down to the 11-yard line. Good to Eric Austin, and that's another first down for Ventura.
Yeah, that's a second catch Austin's had, and that's a simple play, good throw. And I like what Deuce said. You're feeding off the run, and now all of a sudden this defense has to collapse more in the middle, and that's going to allow these quick passes on the outside.
I love Derry's point about Mortensen and his running style. There's a penalty flag down in the offensive backfield. Tyler Peralta was a very much a north-south runner. He would attack the hole and just see what kind of yardage he could get. But it's a shiftier style for Mortensen, isn't it, Will? Will, your thoughts on Mortensen, if you got us down there?
He's a bit more of a dancer before the hole. Peralta much more a one cut and go type of back. Mortensen a little shiftier, but his vision is incredible. The cut he made on the previous first down run was second to none. One of the things I'm watching right here is big number 62, I believe, Austin Litton at right tackle, and number 65 for Rio Mesa. I think that's Herrera. They've been going at it pretty good here in the early on.
We will keep an eye on that. Our eyes on the field as
Austin is 52.
Thank you, sir. Following the holding penalty, no gain there, really. Well, they haven't even blinked at Thousand Oaks, and it's already 7-0 TO, by the way. Max Gillum, a 23-yard touchdown pass. That is a really good Thousand Oaks Lancer.
Yeah, the Lancers are explosive. The Spartans are very committed to the run right now. You can see a 7-man box, even though the Cougars have 4 receivers out in the pattern.
Smith to throw to the near side. It will take Ventura down to about the 10-yard line. Christian Schaefer with the catch, and Ventura has an opportunity to pick up a first down inside the 2, 3rd down and 8.
Yeah, and if they keep stacking that box, it's going to be up to Smith and these receivers, Schaefer, Austin, McKenzie, and Stubbs to make plays, and that was a pretty easy one. That time, too many guys at the line of scrimmage. Nice play by Schaefer to sit there and get an open spot.
And that's something that Smith needs to develop a rhythm with his wideouts. Appeared to have been missing there as he left the ball a little bit too far out for Eric Austin, and it's 4th down. Anybody want to weigh in? What do you think you do here on 4th and 7? Take the points?
Depends on how much you have faith in your kicker. If you like your kicking game, this is a relatively short field goal attempt. It would be a 26-yard attempt. But, of course, you only have about 6 yards to go for the first down.
I think you go for the points.
They're going to take it. Ian McKenzie is out on the field. Palacios to hold. The 8-12 mark of the first quarter. Ventura looking to strike first. Nice snap, holds down, kick looks like it's wide, and it's no good. So the Cougars with a 3-minute and 52-second drive, and they come up empty. Ouch.
Yeah, it's disappointing. You really did a good job there, early portion of that drive to get inside the red zone. The holding penalty stunted them a bit, and then, of course, the 3rd down play, pretty good coverage, not the best of throws, but to miss the chip shot field goal, all of a sudden you're Rio Mesa. You're saying we're taking the field. I think we're fortunate we're not down already, but that's part of football. That's part of the way the game goes. And so for Ventura, disappointing opening series. For Rio Mesa now, you take the field and you feel like you might have just stole a couple points off the board because that's a field goal most teams should make.
Well, it looked like it missed by a good distance, I think, too.
Yes, it was definitely wide.
Rio Mesa with a big gainer beyond the 40, now to midfield. Taken down inside the 40-yard line is Flores, the 5'5", 143-pound junior, with the Cougars keyed in on, obviously, the speedsters Houston and Leonard. Flores takes it inside the 40, a 37-yard gain.
That was a good start. Nice play by Flores. Great blocking downfield, and then he showed his speed on that one. Beautiful run by Flores, and we just mentioned the first play for Ventura, they crossed midfield. The first play for Rio Mesa, they crossed midfield.
Well, I'll tell you a message from Coach Bittner early. Number 3, Josiah King, he was starting at defensive end pass rushing and immediately gives him the ball to set a message that King is here for real tonight.
And another first down, 2 plays, just about 25 seconds elapsed. And Rio Mesa is deep in Ventura territory. Here's a quick toss along the near side for Rio Mesa, a bubble screen. And the Spartans, another 7 yards. They are moving fast, and they are moving, as Kent will like to hear, in a furious manner.
Exactly, yeah, great start so far. And Eddie Guerrero, the quarterback, he's looked pretty sharp so far in about the first minute of his game.
Brian Penny on that last catch. Penalty flag down. A 2-quarterback system. We'll see Eddie Guerrero start. We'll see Austin Maciel come in and play in the second quarter, and then it's really who knows from there, I think. 2-quarterback system, though, Will, is something you see at the community college level, and it seems like Coach Bittner feels comfortable with using 2 quarterbacks.
You do. Personally, not a big fan of it for the continuity purposes, but it is common this day and age. And with these no-huddle offenses, there's more plays being run, so they do both get quite a few possessions.
Pass complete to Matt Fabian as the 6', 170-pound senior picks up another first down. Rio Mesa moving the ball effortlessly.
Yeah, it was right up the seam, timing route, good throw, and Fabian, good job. He lowered his shoulder, picked up a few yards after contact.
High snap, but a strong handoff, and penalty flag on the far side. Anybody catch what that was for?
It's looking like procedure. I believe the man in motion may have turned up a little early on his slide.
Well, it's kind of eerily similar, as I mentioned. Ventura, Deuce on their first possession, cross midfield. Eventually, they get a penalty right after they get in the red zone. Now you're Rio Mesa. The Spartans, they get past midfield in one play. They get in the red zone, and now they commit what looks to be a penalty. So we've seen both these teams, couple nice plays, but you don't want to hinder yourself by giving up 5 yards or 10 yards every time you get towards that goal line.
About the same spot where Ventura had about that big 10-yard holding penalty.
That's really what set the Cougars back, isn't it? Deuce, you're our historian here, obviously. I have to say, I love the pace and balance with which we're seeing this Rio Mesa team move the ball.
Really, I mean, it's they've been kind of more of a running team in the history in the past with a little bit of throwing. Cameron Rout came in. He was a 3-year starter, and really the last couple of years he really developed pretty much. And they've always had some really good speed on this team.
Guerrero completes that to Flores down to the 7-yard line.
That was too easy, just a quick slant. Flores, not quite unguarded, but good position on that play. Perfectly timed, great throw by Guerrero. And we've seen that now. That's twice this drive. It's just been a quick throw, one down the seam to Fabian, and now another one to Flores. Good play calling by Rio Mesa.
Here's a handoff. Josiah King, and King strides on into the end zone. Touchdown, Spartans. Near the halfway point of the first quarter, Rio Mesa stopped the Cougars deep in their own territory and takes it the length of the field. 6-0 Spartans.
Great blocking on that play. Easy job by King to get around the edge. Good finish on that drive. Untouched going into the end zone for 6 yards. Great drive. Opening drive for the Spartans. The defense almost gives up some points. They get off the field, not allowing anything. And then within a couple plays, they strike into the red zone. Great job by the blocking men up front. And then a simple run by King. Just follow those blockers, look for that hole, one cut, and get into the end zone. Very good job after getting that 5-yard penalty a few plays ago.
Well, we saw something from Rio Mesa last week when they put 69 points on the scoreboard. So obviously a team that's very explosive.
Well, something that really jumped out there, the Cougars paying a lot of attention to number 7, Stevie Houston, and the Spartans have countered that by really being able to run to the outside in the opposite direction. Seems like the Cougars' defense is a little off balance, trying to account for the speed of Houston on the left side.
Yeah, that's a guy we didn't even mention his name during that first drive. If it was more Fabian and more Flores and then mix in with King. And you're right, Will, it's one of those things. You focus on 7 and you focus on 10. Houston and Leonard, the two guys we mentioned in the pregame, Danny. And that's going to open things up for Flores, Fabian, King, Kitlicka, all the other guys on this offense that will get touches but probably aren't the game breakers that Houston and Leonard are. So that's a great read there, Will. You notice that. If they're going to put too many guys on Houston's side, you'll find other receivers that are open.
Yeah, and I feel like also in the run game, Coach Bittner's very, very keen on that off right tackle side. Potentially a soft spot in the Cougar defense.
Short kick again from the Spartans. Fair catch called for, and about 8 yards deeper. And the Cougars will start from the 31.
See, if it's me, I probably wouldn't have an offensive lineman in that position on the kickoff return from now on.
Absolutely. Maybe put one of your H-backs or tight ends in there.
Instead of 64, I'd be thinking more like 4.
Roger Palacios, potentially, you could move in, a tight end that we'll see quite a bit.
Yeah, it's just kind of a liability there, seeing a lineman trying to make that fair catch. But done a nice job so far. We'll see what the Cougars do out of this bunch formation here, see if they can't get the Spartans picked in their coverage. Run
Pitch
the toss.
To the right side.
Boy, what a great cutback.
Yeah, well blocked.
That was that vision you were talking about, Darian, and how he kind of dances through his blocks.
Yeah, that's that old bunch crunch where everybody blocks down and they lead a lineman through the hole. Very well executed by the Cougars.
After you fail to score on your opening drive, it helps to pick up 8 yards rushing on your next play.
Yeah, that was a good gain, nice run. And now we're going to get a lot more going forward of Brock Mortensen. There's no doubt about it. And now they cross midfield again. So quickly, we've seen we're pretty much halfway through this first quarter. It's now 3 possessions that have gone into plus territory. That's a good sign for what we kind of thought going in might be an offensive type of shootout.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've had 4 plays for both teams in minus territory.
That's correct.
Would be nice to see a shootout tonight as Mortensen carries for only a couple yards there. Boy, that was a thriller last week, wasn't it, between Simi Valley and Buena as the Bulldogs went the length of the field late in that game and held on for that 37-30 win. From Buena's standpoint, they have to be impressed, Deuce, with where they stand at this point early on.
Definitely. I saw where they got some attention as far as ranking purposes, and so did CI. Did you see they were ranked?
CI 2-0 going into tonight's game. We'll keep you posted on all the scores. There's a
interesting matchup here for the Cougars. Number 16, Joey Thompson, listed at 6'1" as a wideout, and the Spartans could have a little liability over here in coverage, as you just saw there with the pass interference call. Definite height advantage on that matchup.
Yeah, that time Flores was called for it. We seen him on offense in the slot. That time, you're right, it was pretty evident. He had to reach and grab. The height differential was significant, and it was clearly a pass interference. But, as we all know, sometimes it's better to just wrap the guy up, take the 15 yards, as opposed to letting him beat you deep and score the touchdown.
Well-timed route there called by Brad Stewart. If you noticed, the ball was in the air before the receiver came out of his break, making it nearly impossible to guard on the comeback route.
Now that Smith is a senior, he's making those type of throws. Derry, you want to talk about surprising 2-0 teams? How about Oak Park? And David Schmucker is starting at quarterback tonight despite the injury last week.
Well, they went through last year where they lost everybody from that team that was had a great passing attack with Matt Byer as the great wide receiver, caught like 30 touchdown passes. They lost most of those guys, lost their head coach, and so they had a real rough patch last year, going 0-10, and boy, they have just turned it around. You get a couple really good key guys to your team in just about any sport, and you really have a chance to perform.
Couple games between Ventura County teams and Central Coast teams. Oxnard leads slow 7-0 with 3:31 left in the first. Look at that. Oxnard can score in the first half. That's impressive.
Yeah, we know they can score in the fourth quarter.
I noticed where they went back to running the more, the big running back had 41 carries last week.
You got to go with what got you there. So it's going to be a immersion process for the passing game, I think, at Oxnard. 2nd down and 6 coming for Ventura.
This is big territory for Ventura. They were already in the red zone once, came up short, nothing to show on the scoreboard. You don't want to get close to the goal line again, not be able to put up some points. I think, unlike last time where they punted on 4th down and then eventually were able to keep the possession alive due to a penalty, this time I think, you're playing for 4 downs regardless after missing that opening field goal, because it's not a matter of how much you score. It's also you need your defense to stop Rio Mesa. But right now, points are probably going to be heavy in this game. So expect a lot of runs on 2nd and medium, setting up 3rd and 4th and short. And that time, a great run.
Pitch to Mortensen, working his way out to the edge.
And I like what he did there. He pretty much just ran in between 2 Spartans. The Spartans players bumped each other, and he picked up another few yards. And it's much like you said, Deuce. He's patient back there. He waits a second, then he does one cut, and he can really make that play. I like what I've seen out of Mortensen so far.
Well, he's already got 56 yards rushing.
And it's Mortensen again. Seems like that Spartan second wave is containing him down there, Cowan.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cougars in this bunch formation are essentially using an H-back. They got big number 82, Roger Palacios, sometimes is a lead blocker in this set. So that's kind of the answer now to the Spartan defense, is to compact the formation. Probably coming back to the toss here. There it is.
Certainly called that one as Mortensen tries to stretch it, and Houston is there to haul him down for a loss. No offense, Will, you are a bright football mind, but on an important 3rd down and 6 play, the sideline reporter shouldn't be able to call what's coming.
Well, the one of the Cougar offensive linemen gave me a little tip on that one, watching his stance, so I took a guess. But I don't know. The Spartan defense pretty quick side to side, so I don't know how successful the Cougars are going to be trying to outflank them. 4th and 8.
And Ventura appears to be going for it. 3 wide receivers set to the far side on 4th down and 8.
4-man rush.
Smith will sprint out to the far side, throw to the 5-yard line, and it's incomplete. In and out of the hands of Eric Austin, and Rio Mesa takes over on the 15-yard line. Another big stop for the Spartans.
Yeah, that's twice now they've been in the red zone and have come up with 0 points. So if you're Rio Mesa, your defense is feeling pretty confident now, even though it's that bend but don't break. You're not breaking. They're not scoring points, and now the offense takes the field, and they move the ball so effectively early on that quarterback Eddie Guerrero in this offense, they're sort of feeling if we can get another one here, the pressure goes back on the Cougars. Unfortunate for Ventura there, 2nd and medium stopped, 3rd and medium stopped. You need to get better yards on those downs.
That was a quad formation, 4 Spartan receivers to the same side, overloading the Cougar defense.
The toss goes to Houston, and Houston ends up picking up, 11 yards.
Yeah, it was a tight end over. If you can see that the Spartans have no offensive players on the last possession on the left side. And here it comes this way. All 4 receivers. Now they moved 19 back now. They're balanced.
Another high snap. We've seen a couple, and another handoff for Rio Mesa. This time to number 8, Joe Diaz.
Yeah, the first carry we've seen from Diaz, and you don't want to give King every carry tonight. And the one thing I like about this offense is it does seem like they have a bunch of those just small, athletic, fast players that you can get it in their hands, and they can make you miss ability. And when you have Diaz, Flores, Leonard, Houston, Fabian, all of those options, and then sort of the big bruiser and King as the main running back, that's a good combination to have. Another high snap, though, as you just said.
Lucky to haul that one down is Guerrero. And one question I have about this 2-quarterback system is what if you're in the middle of a drive and you move to the next quarter? Will, that can get a little confusing.
Yeah, again, that's a kind of a coaching decision that if you know your personnel, but that's got to be challenging for continuity purposes to change up the signal caller mid-play. Now this 2-back look is interesting. Very hard to defend for the Cougars.
Here's Guerrero on 3rd down. That's high through the hands of both the intended target, Marquise Motley, and the Cougar defensive back, Christian Schaefer. And the Spartans will have to punt. Strong hold from Ventura.
Yeah, definitely. They needed that badly. And so now not only will they get the ball back, it should be really good field position. And we've mentioned the plays in negative territory tonight. Ventura, a pretty good chance here. They're going to start in plus territory unless it's a heck of a punt.
It is pretty much the polar opposite, although it takes a big-time Spartan bounce. And we'll wind up at the Ventura 45-yard line with 60 seconds left in the opening quarter. Oxnard 14-0 over San Luis Obispo. And Will, let's send it down to you as we talk about someone that you worked with in the past, John Mack. He can certainly be successful at Oxnard, don't you think?
He can. A couple things that Coach Mack does really well. And one of them is he's an excellent football coach, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He works tirelessly, but he's also very good in the community, and he'll raise a lot of money and a lot of attention, and he'll create a nice hype around that program in that city, no question.
8th screen pass, and Eric Austin was looking to then throw the ball downfield. A double pass is what the Cougars had drawn up to try and create a big play here in the closing minute.
Yeah, they were looking for Palacios on the throwback.
2nd down and 12.
And he had a little bit of space. It's just the defense up front forced the heat and ultimately got the ball where it was evident he wasn't going to have any chance to throw it downfield unless he was going to take quite a shot.
Mortensen carries again. Will toss it over to Derry at the end of the quarter. I'd love to check in on his numbers. Seems like he's had quite a quarter, but for you fantasy football players out there, he hasn't gotten you 6 points yet.
61 yards.
That will bring us to a close here. The end of the first quarter of play, you look at this back and forth flow we have, and it's almost surprising to turn around and see that the score is just 7-0, Kent.
Yeah, the ball has been moved pretty frequently through the first quarter, but only 7 points on the board. A lot of that has to do with the Spartans have held up in the red zone defensively, and on the other hand, Ventura hasn't taken advantage of a few opportunities in the red zone, and that's the reason why they're 0. I think as this game goes forward, the Cougars are bound to start scoring some touchdowns, but in the meantime, both times they got close to the goal line, they were stuffed, 0 points. So overall, I think the pace for both offenses is pretty good, and overall I like the way both quarterbacks have looked, Guerrero and Smith, but the difference is in the red zone, the Spartans' ability to get those 4, 5, 6 yards is way more significant than what the Cougars have been able to do.
Well, it does appear that the Cougar offense really boils down to execution. A couple drop balls and a penalty here and there are the difference between 14 points and a goose egg right now on the scoreboard. So Coach Garcia's squad, they're really going to have to focus in on the execution.
Seems to be have been a lot of negative plays at crucial times. You know, 1 yard loss, the bad snap from center, the holding penalty. Those things have really kind of stalled both teams when they've gotten to the red zone.
Yeah, it's still obviously early in the season, and with the heat this week, I'm wondering if conditioning becomes a factor at this high tempo both teams play.
Open on the swing pass, near side for Ventura. A 5-yard gain ultimately, but Christian Schaefer is short of the first down. 4th and 1. What do?
I think you go for it. Your offense has shown the ability, as you said, already 61 rush yards for Mortensen. Give him the ball and see if he can get 3 feet.
Doesn't appear that the Cougar coaching staff and Tim Garcia entirely agree. I'm a little surprised Palacios out to punt deuce.
You don't want to give Rio Mesa the ball in great territory. Kick it, make him go 80 yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Traditionally, Ventura would have an unbalanced offensive line and just cram the ball. There's a fake punt.
Yeah, easy
Oh,
gainer
boy.
and a first down for the Cougars to the 31-yard line. Carter Woodruff, the up man on the 15-yard gain. And that was pretty easy 15-yard first down.
Yeah, untouched until about 12 yards downfield. But stats say, I know it's a conservative thing and a lot of coaches sometimes don't want to go for 4th down, but stats dictate overwhelmingly when you're between those 40s and you're 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, you should roll the dice and go for it because the odds of getting it are way higher than the odds of not getting it, especially when you have a running back who's picking up yards. I'm glad they went for the trick play, but I would have felt confident them just running it anyways.
And here goes Mortensen again, spun down at the 25-yard line. I will say this about the Ventura offense. Going from one running back to the other, they're going to stick with basically one running back, and we learned that with Tyler Peralta, and we're seeing it again with Brock Mortensen.
That's fairly traditional here. This has somewhat been a institution of good tailbacks over the last several generations, really dating back to the mid-'80s. The guys like Lamont Fields moving through the Ebell years and all the way to Peralta.
Swafford.
Derek Swafford, two-sport athlete, phenomenal. It's just an endless list of running backs.
Joaquin Real.
Armstrong.
Yeah.
Connor Armstrong.
Yeah.
P.D. Durant.
Exactly. The list goes on and on. So this is a little shocking to me that those power runs aren't quite there this year for the Cougars. Great fake.
Smith flushed, slides forward for about a yard.
The Spartans defensively have made an adjustment, and they've got number 3, Josiah King, playing the left defensive end, rushing into the face of the quarterback for the Cougars. So Tyler Smith has seen a very good athlete downhill in a hurry.
Yeah, that was really good defense on that one. Smith had nowhere to go. Was fortunate, frankly, to even pick up about a yard there. But once again, we're in that territory, 3rd and short. I'd say run the football here. Worst case, you don't get it. You set up 4th and 1 or so.
Yeah, I never enjoyed that as an offensive tackle to look up and see the other team's running back on the pass rush.
Loss of a yard, 4th down and 4. And it's in a rather ambiguous territory. I think that you go for it.
And how about this, though? This is now the 3rd time that Ventura's been inside the 25. Twice inside the red zone, now at the 25. If they come away with no points again, all of a sudden, that's really a big blow to this offense. You have to find a way here to try to get something, and you think 4th and 4 probably through the passing game.
They've struggled to execute in the passing game
Good
in this
fake.
section of the field. And that's intercepted. Picked off by Rio Mesa. Going the other way is number 42, Josh Atwater. 10, 5, touchdown Spartans from 4th and 4 to 6 the other way. Rio Mesa out in front, 13-0, a 74-yard touchdown return, but there's a penalty flag down at the 30-yard line.
As the officials sort that out, go back to the last play. The Cougars opting to go to the rollout bootleg pass to the left, and that ball was thrown under pretty good pressure. I'm kind of thinking the Cougars and Tyler Smith might be wishing they had that back.
But again, the pressure came, and it forced Smith to kind of hurry his throw and get it off. There was an open receiver there drifting towards the sideline, would have been a first. The fact that that inside pressure came up and Smith had to roll much more quickly, that made the interception much more feasible, because all of a sudden then into the hands of Atwater. And how about the ability he showed in the open field, Danny? He went through, made a tackler miss, and then warned his way into the end zone, 74 yards. That was pretty effective running and a great read by Atwater. If he doesn't get over there, that's easily a first down.
The Spartan speed creating all kinds of issues right now, both in the secondary and up front for the Cougars blocking schemes. And I think that does account for some of these mishaps on 3rd and 4th down, just trying to account for this Rio Mesa speed.
And we didn't expect to be talking about Rio Mesa speed at the linebacker position, did we?
No.
With the outside linebacker Atwater taking that all the way. He really started to pull away when you hit about the 40-yard line, Will. That was impressive as you saw him streaking toward the goal line right in front of you.
Well, he was in the right place at the right time for the interception in the zone defense, but the Spartans' pressure and their coverage took away the first several options, forcing Smith to go probably to his 3rd read, and it didn't work out very well.
And Deuce, I love that call. Bring the pressure on 4th down. Don't sit back and make the quarterback take 3, 4, 5 seconds before he finds the open receiver. Bring the pressure, force him out of the pocket. If he puts a pinpoint throw on, so be it. You'll live to fight another day. But the pressure was really the reason why that interception was thrown. I thought it was a great defensive call.
He was almost sacked, and he escaped being sacked. There's like 2 guys right on top of him, and he did a really good job. But may have just released it just a little bit too soon. He'd been having a lot of time to throw through the first 3 possessions until that throw.
There is something special. I'm not sure how obviously this game will turn out. We won't prognosticate to that extent, but I can just tell you there is a special feel to this Rio Mesa football team this season as compared to the team we've seen in past years.
Well, we saw a little bit of it last year. They beat Calabasas midway in the season. We're talking about a Calabasas team that is really good and is even better this year. And they had a really great game against a 9-2 Pacifica team where they lost like 48-42 or something like that.
I was at that game last year, Deuce, and I'll tell you what, the Spartans really played well, and I feel like ever since that game, this team has really stepped up in their maturity level.
In the last 5+ quarters, they've scored 81 points.
Yeah, that's one way you can win a lot of football games. And then when you have your defense making stops like they have 3 straight times, bend but don't break, that's been exactly what they've been. And that time, it wasn't just not breaking. It was forcing the issue and forcing the turnover. Sometimes it's an ill-advised throw. That time the pressure got them. Great defense by the Spartans.
Now the senior Smith needs to throw the ball in a more assertive manner. That's complete to Angel Moreno.
I think throwing the ball to these outside receivers on these quick one-on-one throws on 1st down might be a good idea to create these 2nd and shorts as opposed to trying to pound it right away. We'll see what happens again in the bunch.
Handoff on a little sprint draw, good for a 1st down and more. It's a fine observation, Will. I think that Ventura's been really asking their senior quarterback early in the season to make difficult throws tonight without giving him some of the easier out and hitch routes.
Well, absolutely, and for a quarterback, 1st down is the ideal time to put the ball in the air because as you see here, you tend to get that soft coverage on the outside. There it is again. See, Coach Stewart here on calling the plays for the Cougars is really starting to take advantage of that now on 1st down, working the perimeter as opposed to the inside.
And that's one thing that Derry and I discussed before the game off the air. I mentioned to him, I said, run pass, what's sort of the setup here. And he goes, well, for both teams, they used to be more run-oriented. Now it's pass, and that's just the way football's headed. But a lot of these passes, even in the spread, they're run extensions anyways. They're quick near the line of scrimmage. It's almost an extended run as it is, and then it sets up these type of runs. So in theory, even though teams now are passing the ball at a much higher percentage than they used to, it's still the basic fundamental of put the ball near the line of scrimmage, near a playmaker, get a few blocks, and pick up 6-7 yards on first down. It's the same premise. It's just a different way of distributing the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you can see the Spartans going into a press coverage now. Audible there from Smith. Let's see what he does here. He just checked out into a play-action pass.
Really nowhere to go. He'll run up the middle, scoot inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah, he had a screen called up there, and he saw the Spartans in that press coverage, checked out, and ended up just keeping the ball in that nice crease created there in the protection.
Yeah, and that was a good decision. Not open, tuck the ball, run for 6-7 yards, and set up, I guess it's 2nd and 5. That's not a bad gain on first down, especially when nothing was open.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can see it. The Spartans have gone into what we call a cover 2, where the corners are up pressing with 2 safeties deep, and you can see the Cougars are now back to the inside run, which is the correct play in that situation.
I don't want to say this is a must-score drive, but Ventura has now reached the 20-yard line of Rio Mesa for the 3rd time, inside the 25 for the 4th, and they still have yet to score. Here's Smith. He'll have a chance to get away, but really won't pick up any positive yardage.
And this is where Ventura struggled. Rio Mesa just kind of really compresses its defense and does not allow Ventura anything.
Well,
in the red zone.
Definitely a sense of urgency, and now the Spartans in that 2-deep zone, they're going to force Smith to work the ball down the seams here, and that's staying with the stretch play.
As Mortensen is close to the sticks, but I think he might be just about a yard short. He'll have a chance potentially to carry again and put the Cougars inside the 10 in a 1st and goal situation. If you go to halftime down a touchdown, all isn't bad for Ventura, but let's remember that this Rio Mesa team gets the ball to open the second half in a first half that has really just flown by. Smith on the give to Mortensen, and he picks up the first down. 1st and goal coming from the 6.
Yeah, I feel like you give Mortensen the ball here as many times as you can. Don't commit any penalties. Don't bring the ball 5 or 10 yards back. I feel pretty good if number 12, he's coming out right now to get a quick breather, but maybe after first down, you put him back in this game. You give number 21 the ball 3 times on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I feel pretty good. He'll find his way in the end zone, but he needed a quick breather.
Yeah, with the ball on the left hash, at some point you would probably expect to see a sprint out situation to the wide side of the field out of Coach Stewart.
Rowan Moran spells the Ventura lead running back, Mortensen, and now Smith and Moran in the backfield again on 2nd down. And here's Moran, and it looks like he'll come up just about a half yard short.
In comes Mortensen. You have to think, I feel like most people here at Larrabee Stadium, Phil, it's going to number 21. It's going to Mortensen. There's no reason why it shouldn't here. Either that or a quarterback sneak.
Interesting, the receiver's still on the field. No jumbo package for the Cougars. Probably a wise timeout to get on the same page. Timeout from the Spartans.
Stoppage of play from the Rio Mesa Spartans.
Yeah, I'm stunned. Traditionally, Ventura would have that 2 tight end, 2 fullback set and just cram that ball in over the top, but times have changed with the basketball on grass philosophy.
This is the VCS Preps Game of the Week, brought to you by the Ventura County Star, vcstar.com, your local news site. Nowhere else can you find the most comprehensive and up-to-date news, sports, and entertainment. It's all about what's happening in your city and your neighborhood. Visit vcstar.com today, where Ventura County goes for news, and so many of us in this county like to be dialed in a major way, and the Ventura County Star has really expanded what its app does. In fact, on the way to the game today, I saw an alert to come in from the app that talked about the 8 cross-country runners suffering from heat stroke at the cross-country meet earlier today. And we hope they're all doing all right at this point.
Yeah,
hot conditions.
I went on my 6-mile stroll here before the game, and right through the Seaside Invitational. Phenomenal event, by the way. And there were about 3 or 4 paramedics busily working on those poor student athletes. It has cooled off nicely on the field. Temperature on the turf right now is 79 degrees.
It feels a lot cooler, though, doesn't it, because of the heat we've been dealing with. Can the Cougars put some heat on Rio Mesa? No, there's a penalty
Ventura,
flag down. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's what I said just a few moments ago. The last thing you want to do
No, it's not.
give up 5 or 10.
Defense, half the distance. Interesting there.
There you go.
That's why he's our eyes on the field.
I just watched a ref. But
you did it really well.
absolutely.
And I guess if you're going to commit the offsides, about 6 inches closer to the goal line is not the biggest deal in this moment.
You know, it's interesting. In high school football, there's only 5 officials, and you get away with certain. Oh, here comes the jumbo package.
The big package in for the Cougars on 3rd and goal from the one.
Up and over.
Mortensen
Ooh.
up, over, and
He's in.
Touchdown, Ventura. 14-6, the Cougars lead. Funny to think that they're finally on the board for the first time with 5:36 to go.
Well, they needed that. They had to get a score one way or another, touchdown over field goal if preferred. And you give it to number 21, you give it to Mortensen. And not to mention, bringing in that jumbo package, that makes a running back feel good. He knows I'm running behind some big guys, follow that strong side on the right, jump over the goal line, and he's powerful enough. Chances were he wasn't going to be driven back before he touched that ball over the goal line. Good possession, a much-needed possession, and now all of a sudden, as you said, Danny, it's a one-score game again, and now you'll see if the defense can step up, and maybe you get the ball back here even before the halftime. Great answer by the Cougars after, frankly, their first 3 drives where they should have had 7, 10, 14 points and left with 0 every time.
Knowing that the Spartans do get the ball back, as Danny said, to start the 3rd quarter, if I'm the Cougars right now, I'm thinking of amping up that pressure just a bit to try to get the ball back and then hopefully control it for the final possibly 4 minutes of the half.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. If you can get a 3 and out or a quick maybe, worst case, the ball back with 2 minutes left, you can try to find a way to get some points.
Yeah.
If anything, I think Ventura's proven they can get near the goal line almost at will. The chances are, can they get a touchdown? They finally got one there. So I like it. I like the pace. I think overall, Deuce, both offenses have moved the ball pretty consistently. It's just the points haven't quite been there, especially for Ventura.
Well, Rio Mesa's only had 10 plays.
Wow.
Can you believe that? 5:36 left in the half, and they've only had 10 plays. Of course,
Obviously,
that
the defensive
75-yard
touchdown,
interception return kind of.
That does skew that number a little. I'm interested to see where this kick goes for the Cougars. Pretty nice kick, pinned him in the corner. See if they can contain him. Uh-oh.
Return moving away to the left-hand side and then cutting back upfield is number 8, Joe Diaz. Joe Diaz has seen the ball both as a running back and return man. 5:31 to go, and Rio Mesa will run their 11th play.
Amazing, huh?
Well, when you're scoring on 4 or 5 plays a couple times, you don't have to have the ball too much. But, yeah, it's pretty interesting to think about the fact that this offense really hasn't been out there too much because, like you said, it's been a 3 and out, a couple quick scores, and then a 74-yard return for a touchdown. So even though that doesn't count as a play, it was a huge one.
Screen pass to the left side as Flores completes it up to the 6. I wonder if this would be a situation where the Spartans try to turn Steve Houston loose, the Washington State commit.
Yeah, you would think so, especially if it's one-on-one anywhere. You're going Houston's way. Houston and Leonard are the 2 guys offensively you eventually need to get some touches for, and they're moving Houston in motion now. He's going to the wide side of the field. So now you kind of have that advantage, a lot of space on his side.
Christian Schaefer assigned to him, and the ball's thrown by Maciel. It's the first time we've seen him so far in the game, the Spartans' second quarterback.
Yeah, if he puts that on the money, it's an easy first down. It would have been about a 15-yard pickup. Houston that time was wide open. Throw was behind him. And for Maciel, we liked what we saw out of Guerrero in the first quarter. He's now entering the game. That's a smart play to give him with the best playmaker on first down. Or on second down, you just have to be able to complete the throw.
Well, I just wonder whether this takes the rhythm out of what Rio Mesa's been doing.
It's a great point. Maciel does dive forward for the first down, although 10 plays for Guerrero, 3 plays for Maciel. The rhythm was really only there on that opening drive. They've hardly seen the ball since, other than a 3-and-out. 1st and 10 for Rio Mesa. Both teams never saw a huddle they liked. To flip that phrase around a little bit, and here's Diaz again. Diaz up to the 45-50, and he steps out right at the sticks. We haven't seen the big bruising running back yet. The backup we were expecting to, Michael Kitlika, number 22, 6'2", 209 pounds.
Now the Spartans have been very perimeter-oriented. Other than that quarterback draw we just saw, they've been really trying to get to the flanks of the Cougar defense.
Joining Maciel in the backfield will be Flores and Diaz. Here's Diaz. Slips and falls short flag, first down mark, and there's a penalty flag down.
Flag in the backfield.
That's usually points to holding, right, Deuce? That's what the Cougar D-line is indicating. Yes. Ouch.
And now we're going to see more what Maciel's made of, because instead of it being what looked to be about 3rd and 1, all of a sudden they're going to be backed up. It's going to be 2nd and they're marking it off at the 40, so 2nd and 12. That's significant when you're a quarterback who really hasn't been in the game all night.
Yeah, the Cougar defense really needs to settle in on that 2nd yard marker and look for that 10 to 12 yard throw. The Spartans have 2 plays to get it, but look for the intermediate throw here.
Maciel,
there
5 steps, swings it out to Diaz.
Try to get some. He got, a couple yards back.
Great job by Boomer Marin stepping in there right near the line of scrimmage. It looked like it would be a good 5-6 yard gain. He closed very quickly, forced Diaz to slip. He would have tackled him anyways. Great play that time, coming on the edge and making the play for the outside linebacker.
Absolutely. Forcing the play back inside is everything for the Cougars' defensive set.
Thanks for joining us on the VCS Preps Game of the Week, presented by the Ventura County Star. Danny Page, Kent Brown, the Deuce, Derry Eads, and our main man on the sideline, Will Cowan. Maciel on 3rd and 10. Sprints left, and he'll be
well short.
Taken
Midfield.
Down, about the 48-yard line.
You almost have to punt this ball and try to make the Cougars at least use the clock. With 3.5 left, the Spartans can't be thinking about going here, I don't think.
No, the punt team's coming on.
They should run this clock down, though. You got that 25-second play clock in high school. The Spartans should use every penny of it before kicking the ball. We'll see if they do.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't. There's no reason to even remotely kick it until about 2-3 seconds left on that play clock.
Hopefully the back judge will give him a 5-second warning. They usually do.
Ventura steps back as Schaefer's ready to receive. Mortensen was tracking that as he tried to block it. Schaefer scoops it up at the 25, up to the 30. And a penalty flag down as he's out of bounds right around the 35.
I'm thinking that's a late hit, possibly on number 53 for the Cougars. Brandon Gooding was right over a Spartan player there on that play. We'll see if they come up with a late block in the back or a late hit from the Cougars.
Yeah, I was even surprised he fielded that punt. It was moving with some good velocity, but he caught it, streaked up for about 10 yards. But now the officials are working this out. But I think you might be right over there, because it looked like the only player that was really down by the end of it, it was a Spartan. It wasn't a Cougar. So I think it'll probably go on Ventura. And once again, we've talked about this now for weeks, Deuce. Just these penalties, once you start gaining anything, 10, 15, 5-yard penalties, it's been proven. Any drive you have in any level of football, when you don't commit penalties, the odds of scoring on that drive are significant. But when you commit even one penalty on a drive, the odds of scoring become so much more diminished. And we've seen it through these first 3 weeks. When there's been penalties, the offenses are much more difficult to put up points.
We have 3 timeouts for Coach Garcia to work with here. Obviously, 78 yards of field is no small task with 2:47.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Spartans, you might want to come with some of that pressure, just like they did in the possession a couple times ago when they forced the turnover. Smith has shown when he's given time, he's pretty efficient, but when he's hit, he's made a couple mistakes.
Just a 4-man rush that time, but Spartans get excellent pressure from King coming off that short side. Clock's rolling here.
Officials timeout. be relating to player equipment. Dondre Baker
Yeah,
is headed to the sideline.
a mandatory sub, I believe, in that situation.
Could be blood.
Well, a big favor to the Cougars right now. They have a chance to set their offense and potentially convert this second down.
Yeah, while the clock is stopped.
While the clock is stopped. Now, remember, in high school football, the first down, they do stop the clock for the chains. Is that correct?
They do stop the clock for the change. Thank you for reminding us of that, Will. Ventura with 3 timeouts. Obviously, the clock also stops on a completed pass, on an incomplete pass.
That's right.
Or a play that ultimately winds up out of bounds. Palacios goes in motion. Handoff to Mortensen. Mortensen darts his way to the 31.
Drop, or they need to hurry.
Yeah, 1 yard short. That's unfortunate for the Cougars here.
Cougars need to get on the ball and pick up that zone play for a quick first down.
Still 2 yards to go, though.
They're flipping the receivers everywhere. That's rough. Into the bunch. Coming toward the camera.
3rd down and 1. Here's Mortensen. Again, Mortensen picks up the first down and a little bit more up to the 36. And now I wonder if Ventura picks up that initial first down and now looks to get into more of a throwing rhythm.
Well, with 3 timeouts, you still have plenty of ability here to run the football. You would like to do it more towards the goal line, but the clock continues to wind. You really can control this pretty well, assuming that you don't have negative plays or there aren't any sacks.
Smith, play fake, rolls to the right side, complete to Palacios, who ends up out of bounds. Nice, smart play.
You know, this has been a nice series for him. He's had Palacios 2 critical lead blocks and then the big reception there. So good work from 82. Excellent execution.
And another short yardage situation, and that's what the Cougars want.
2nd and 1. This time Smith will hand off. Beyond midfield to the 44-yard line. Another first down is that elusive second running back, Rowan Moran.
And what a great block up front by the big offensive guard on the left side. Zeke Ortega just pretty much blew his defensive lineman away with a block, got him out, and it was a simple run by Mortensen. Easy when you have offensive linemen blocking like that.
Smith steps up, passes intended for Eric Austin. A little high on that. Incomplete.
You know, Ian McKenzie here, number 89 at 6'3". I'm wondering when the jump ball is coming his way. He's got a distinct size advantage right here on Dante Martin at 5'6".
It will be a give along the left side.
Did not get out of bounds. Head linesman Kevin Tate keeping the clock running on that play.
Great spot down on the field, Will.
Yes, it was a good ball. He went down before going out of bounds.
Yeah, and that time he ran and lowered his shoulder right into that short corner Dante Martin and really leveled him into the turf.
Yeah, sadly in that situation it would have been better to spin out of bounds.
Smith stepping up, throwing, intercepted again. The out route on the far side is picked off by Rio Mesa. Spartan football just looked like there wasn't enough zip on that as J.P. Arbone stepped in front of that. He could have taken it the other way.
Yeah, if that would have had more zip, it might have been a pick the other way. The fact that it hung up in the air so long, Arbonne had to come back to it, but still made the pick. And now we've seen Smith twice tonight in plus territory throw a crucial interception. That one wasn't returned for 6. But we've seen the secondary now step up, a linebacker with the first pick and now a safety.
Well, it seems like all of Ventura's passes seem to be going to the outside, left or right. And I think it just, somebody just made a really good read on that. He was just sitting back and waiting for it.
Well, a couple things, Deuce. Tyler Smith at 5'10" is under pretty good pressure, so he's having to step up in the pocket as opposed to out and escape. And when he steps up, I don't know that he can see over the middle when he's in that mess of a pocket that is the front there.
Well, I think, Will, that normally what he'd look for in those situations, you know who he would be able to see in past games over these last couple years is Zach Sauerwein. Sauerwein's out his tallest target, and now he's kind of searching for that next option with Sauerwein not on the field.
Yeah, both interceptions, unfortunately, came out late, and the ball was in the air longer than it needed to be as a long throw, and negative result on both.
3rd down, and here is Kitlika who will carry. Kitlika staying in bounds, nearly bruises his way for a first down.
Looked like a scrum.
Yeah, he's close to it.
The Rugby World Cup starts in a week, I think, and that might have been a preview here from what we're seeing. It is 4th down and 1, and I think both teams will just let the clock run out. Maybe Rio Mesa could take a timeout and throw a Hail Mary. 5 seconds. We'll see what Coach Bittner decides to do.
Nope, no play.
And we're headed to halftime. The Rio Mesa Spartans leading the Ventura Cougars 14-7. It has been a back and forth battle in this opening half, Mr. Cowan.
Yeah, it really has. The big thing that stands out to me on the Cougar offense, they're going to have to shore up their outside pass protection to allow Smith a little bit more time to operate. That's going to be the key adjustment I see for the Cougars, having to shore up that Spartan speed coming off the edge right into the face of Tyler Smith.
We'll take a break here at halftime. Rio Mesa leads Ventura with the Spartans taking over to start the second half at Larrabee Stadium, 14-7 on the VCS Preps Game of the Week, presented by the Ventura County Star.
Okay, before we have this performance by the cheerleaders, we'd like everyone to please stand. We would like to have a moment of silence for the events of 9/11. So please, at this time, one moment of silence for the events of 9/11 before the cheerleaders perform. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, performing at halftime, our first group will be the cheerleaders, followed by dance and hip hop. All right, Ventura Cougar cheerleaders. Next up will be the dance team. Cougar dancing. Coming up next, the Cougar hip hop team. Hip hop team comes on the field. We'd like to thank Ventura County Star for being here tonight. That's a nice team. Covering tonight's game, game of the week. Have a nice round of applause for all of you performing our groups tonight. We would like to mention that the cheerleaders, they were a little bit understaffed tonight. They had a couple of injuries, so the performance was held just to a cheer. We hope those cheerleaders feel better, and we'll see their performance next weekend. Okay, there are a couple cars parked in the upper parking lot here that need to be moved. We need to get some vehicles out of the parking lot. So, if you're driving an Audi A4, it's a brand new car, charcoal gray, that does not have a license plate, you need to come up and please move your car. A fire truck and an ambulance to leave the stadium. There is also a black Ford Ranger truck, license plate number 7Z52497. If you're parked at the top of the stadium in the upper parking lot, and you're driving an Audi, a brand new Audi without a license plate, charcoal gray, or a black truck Ford Ranger, please come up and move your car. We need to get the ambulance and the fire truck out of the parking lot. We'd also like to welcome tonight's team.
Welcome back to Larrabee Stadium on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star Turner Field here at Larrabee. 14-7, Rio Mesa leads Ventura. We'll get you scores from around the region shortly. You can also follow along on our Twitter account at VCS Preps. My name is Danny Page. With me, the Deuce, Derry Eads, Kent Brown, and Will Cowan down on the field. Deuce, I understand you have some statistics for us. Good sir.
Brock Mortensen, 25 carries for 120 yards.
Oh, dear.
First half.
That's pretty much the stat, isn't it, at this point? But really, the Cougars only have 7 points, and Mortensen has had a strong impact, but not enough of an impact to put Ventura in the lead.
So basically, he has more carries than Rio Mesa has offensive plays. That's pretty significant. He's been their best player, and going forward this half, you have to have more of a presence with Brock Mortensen. And look, it's 14-7. As much as we know that they've been inefficient on offense in the red zone, I think the Cougars have to feel like, okay, we get a stop, we get the ball back, we're in good shape. The key has been, Danny, getting in second and short, third and short, and then giving Mortensen the ball, much like what Will said. You sort of pass the ball on first to set up the run on second and third. That's when they've been at their best. It's when they get in second and third and long, that's when Tyler Smith has struggled at times.
Well, they've had their drives, missed field goal, incomplete on fourth down, 2 interceptions to end drives, and then the 1 touchdown. So their drives have just been really biting themselves more than anything else.
Kickoff goes out of bounds, so Rio Mesa will start from the 35-yard line as the Spartans will look to extend their advantage. Maciel opens the second half at the quarterback position. He completes a pass near side to get things started to number 5, Brian Penny. What do we have so far? 1 catch from Steve Houston, I think?
Yeah, I think 1 catch. He's had a drop, and then there was another one that was thrown behind him when it would have been a first down. So, yeah, you haven't seen much out of Houston so far in this game. Leonard as well, of course, plays safety and receiver, but neither of those guys have really been playmakers, but especially Houston on the offensive end. They need to get more out of him.
Penalty flag, illegal procedure. It was actually an illegal motion on the far side. Let's bring in the 4th member of our broadcast team, Will Cowan. Will, how is it down there?
It's a great environment down here on the sideline, Dan. You got a nice crowd. There's always a few alumni from Ventura down here, former players, more than a few. And it's really a great environment. Both teams, excellent, really excellent composure for early in the year. Fairly well played, pretty clean.
So all the alumni is not just down on the field, obviously up in the press box here as well, up in the booth with us, of course, Danny Page. I know you know very much. He's a Ventura Cougar football legend, right?
I had to coach him up in my younger days. Let's just say that.
The football is fumbled on the carry on second down, recovered by Rio Mesa. I may go down as legitimately the worst football player in the history of Ventura County. I got hurt. I broke my leg before ever being active for a single game.
Yeah. Was that before or after I made you get up and practice when you were down?
It was actually at that moment.
Oh, my bad.
Pass complete to Penny, and Penny picks up the first down, a nice gain. So, again, we've been looking for Houston and Leonard and all the big stars, but it's guys like Diaz and Penny that have really been helping Rio Mesa move the chains.
Yeah, that time on 3rd and 7, Maciel did not play in the first quarter, didn't get to see much action in the second either. That was a well-thrown football on 3rd and 7. Impressive. And Penny's a guy, we didn't call his name in the first half. 2 big catches here in the first possession.
Maciel to Diaz, and that is incomplete.
On the money, though. That's up to Diaz to pull that in. Maciel's shown good ability so far to throw downfield, which really no quarterbacks tonight up until this moment have shown the ability to throw it downfield with success.
Yeah, Derry, I'd be interested to see what the collective completion percentage is for quarterbacks tonight. It seems like it's probably around 40%.
Actually, it's really good. Guerrero was 4 of 4. Maciel right now is 4 of 7. Tyler Smith is 8 of 13.
Shows you what I know. As hauled down in the backfield, number 3, Josiah King, and it's really that strong Cougar linebacker tandem, Carter Woodruff and Connor McDermott.
Well, on that one, number 55, Isaac Hernandez just did a phenomenal job of maintaining that leverage and brought him down.
3rd and 11. This could be a big play for the Cougars here in this third quarter.
Looks like a nickel package for the Cougars, bringing an extra defensive back into the game.
Very late. 4 wide receivers. Maciel throwing near side. And is that a grab, Will? You were right there
Yes,
on the line.
He cradled it. That's a veteran receiver right there because he cradled the ball and pulled it into his body instead of kind of turning your palms to the ball. And that gave him the catch.
Heck of a catch by Penny. And you almost wonder, we didn't see a lot of Penny in the first half. When Guerrero was in, maybe Maciel and Penny, because they're both kind of backup players, they must have quite a rapport. Maybe on the practice side, they work well together, and that's why we're seeing more of Penny. Pretty much unheard of for the first 24 minutes. Now he has 3 catches, 2 of which went for first downs.
McDermott misses the tackle, and now King is out around the left side. 30, 25, 20. Cut back at the 15. Slam down inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, Rio Mesa. 33 yards.
33-yard gain by number 3, and King has not been getting the ball nearly as frequently as Mortensen, but that time great blocking up front, cut it back, went to the left side, and then showed that speed on the outside. An impressive run by King, and just as we thought a couple times here, Ventura might get off the field on 3rd and longs, it didn't happen, and now maybe this defense is wearing down a bit here to start the third because it's been a pretty physical drive so far for the Rio Mesa Spartans.
1st and goal from the 9. Maciel, right side. Stretched that way. Brought down. No, he'll scoot out of bounds, I should say, at about the 5-yard line. 2nd and goal forthcoming. I would give the ball to King or even the big back Kitlika at this point.
Yeah, King early in the first quarter had the opening touchdown, was untouched, going off the right side off tackle. Maybe you do the same thing here and see if he can get a duplicate touchdown the way he had in the first quarter, because when they've given him the ball, he's looked pretty good.
These are moments where the Rio Mesa defense has had stops, where they've slowed Ventura's progress. Let's see what the Cougars can do defensively in the camo pants. A little slant route. Was that tipped at the line of scrimmage?
It was, and it looked like the Spartans really were trying to get the play-action fake to get one of those Cougar linebackers and safeties, possibly number 4, Boomer Marin, to bite, and it didn't work.
Yeah, great defense there up front. Active hands, just put your hands up, try to deflect anything that goes your way. And you're right, they did not bite on the play action, and that's a lot of times those are what ends up being red zone interceptions. Almost fortunate for Rio Mesa that wasn't picked off.
Maciel, the fade route to Houston. And Houston was probably interfered with a little bit, but the ball was probably
Well, the ball was
headed
already out of bounds.
Yeah, the ball went. I don't know if it's relevant in high school. The ball was not catchable, but there definitely was a hand fight going on down there.
And maybe that's what the officials saw. If both guys are fighting for it as opposed to just the defensive back fighting the receiver, then sometimes you just say, we'll let it go, and now it sets up 4th and goal. And finally, we see the Ventura defense hold when, as you said, Rio Mesa's done so many times tonight.
Steven Sanchez set to kick. Matt Fabian's the holder. Sanchez kick is no good from nearly an identical spot to where the Cougars missed a field goal on their opening drive. Rio Mesa's kick is no good, and it's just a 1-score game, Cowan.
Absolutely. A big stop there from the Cougar D, forcing the field goal miss there wide. The Cougars had good pressure on that kick, but what I've noticed from the Cougars here is they're doing a much better job of corralling the ball and really swarming defensively, and that's helped them all but one play contain that speed.
And the other thing we've seen is when these teams have gotten 3rd and long, there's been incompletions. Most of the completions have come on 1st down, 2nd and short, 3rd and medium. Neither quarterback, or really all 3 quarterbacks, I guess Guerrero didn't really have an opportunity for this, but Maciel and Smith, when they faced 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, that's when the defenses have shown their best ability to cover.
Mortensen with a cutback gets to the 26 as the Cougars open this drive on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star. Hey, if you like being in the know, I like being in the know. Subscribe to the Ventura County Star and discover what's happening in your neighborhood. At a price less than your daily cup of coffee, you can be informed and stay in the know. Sign up today at vcstar.com. We got a full house. It's been a great broadcast so far. Myself, Danny Page, the Deuce, Derry Eads, Kent Brown, and Will Cowan, the king of the sidelines.
Yeah, there's that pressure again off the right side of the Cougar offensive line. Again, forcing Smith in an uncomfortable position, having to slide up into the pocket and then try to throw to the outside. Very difficult to do.
Yeah, too many times today I felt like they've gone to that. Maybe that's been the defense getting pressure, but you don't want to live with that throw across the field on the high school level. It's just always going to be way much of a lower percentage than going with something on the short side or something down the middle as opposed to setting that up. Fortunately, though, you have a pretty good running game and you're still able to pick up the third down.
You do. Traditionally, the Cougars have been more of a rollout team when throwing to the outside. Haven't seen Smith with that option too many times yet tonight. Ooh, the crack block, well done there, and release.
Quick throw, complete to Schaefer. Schaefer scoots up to the 43-yard line. 1st and 10, Ventura.
That's a nice wrinkle. Schaefer there with the inside motion. The crack and release, getting loose on the outside. Great example there of the Cougars able to adjust to that Rio Mesa pressure.
And now we're less than 10 yards from a potential another drive going in plus territory. It seems like seemingly all night, guys, every team has crossed midfield virtually every possession, even though on the scoreboard it wouldn't look like that, only being 14-7.
Yeah, and a big key to that, as we've said, is Roger Palacios, the big tight end for the Cougars, number 82. Phenomenal job there again on the crack block, allowing the backs to cut back.
2nd and 8 coming. And Will, explain to our viewers what a crack block is specifically.
Well, so on that play, he started on the left, and he blocked the right defensive end, allowing the back to flow against the grain of the play, much like Smith does here while he's on the loose.
Smith dives forward, and I think he's going to be about a half yard short.
Yeah, it looks like they're marking him short. He tried to dive for the first down, but that was a good gain, and I think that's also a good sign going forward for Ventura, not just tonight, but just the season. Smith has shown a good ability to scramble, and then rather than force the pass, which he's done a couple times, when he tucks it and runs, he's picked up some positive yards.
Well, that has not been his MO. He is not a running quarterback.
But he's picked up a couple smart yards here and there.
Yeah, but he's not a guy that's going to be running 10 times a game.
No, but I like the fact that when a play is broken down, the couple times he's thrown picks, he probably should have taken off and maybe ran. He's shown an ability, I think, at least 3 times tonight, picking up that first down under those circumstances.
Give again to Moran. Cougars struggling when they try to stretch wide to either side.
No surprise there, Danny. That's that Spartan speed from the safety position, forcing those plays back toward that defensive front.
Halfway through the third quarter, Ventura leads 14-7 on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star. Follow the VCS Preps Twitter account, penalty flag down. Let's get you to some of the scores. Camarillo hanging on to a 14-13 lead over Arroyo Grande. Santa Paula also taking on a Central Coast team. They're tied with Templeton, 7-7. We're going to talk about next week's game of the week, the Santa Paula Fillmore game, in a little bit here. 48-0. Thousand Oaks is on top of Highland. 33-0. Santa Barbara leads Channel Islands. Simi looking for their first victory of the season. They lead Rigetti 28-20 at the break. Tanner Darling has 259 yards through the air. It looks like Fillmore will go into next week's showdown with a defeat on the season. They trail Oak Park 34-7. Westlake on top of Garfield 17-0. Newberry Park leading Agora 21-14. That game in the second quarter. And in the third quarter, Pacifica 56, San Marcos nothing. Oaks Christian 35, Venice zip. St. Bonnie 35, Redlands East Valley 14. You know, for Kent next week, it will be his first Santa Paula Fillmore game. And yeah, there's only a couple thousand people in the stands, but this will be, the 103rd meeting between the two teams. It really is a rivalry unlike anything you see, Deuce.
It really is. I think it's maybe 104 or 105 right in there.
Well, I thought I remembered the 100th game was at Fillmore, so I'm thinking that the odd number games are at Santa Paula. It might be 105.
Might be 105.
That's a lot of years regardless. When you play the same team that many times, you're bound to have some sort of rivalry. And, of course, I'm excited to be there as part of that broadcast next week.
Well, you get this sort of West Texas feel as the two small towns out the 126 freeway shut down for this game. Will, what are your experiences with the Santa Paula-Fillmore rivalry?
I am proud to say that I'm excited to be at the event next week, but sadly, I've never been to one.
Really?
But I know the tradition of it, having worked with some of the old Santa Paula legends like Joey Ramirez on my staff at the college. I'm very familiar with it, knowing Coach Jacinto and Cathcart and Chooch and all the guys over the years, Coach Wilbur and the guys at Fillmore. But I haven't had the chance to go, so I'm very excited.
It is a really interesting feeling as about 3,000 fans will pack into Santa Paula, and so many stories of grandparents and great-grandparents of all these players from Santa Paula and Fillmore who played in this rivalry, and it'll be renewed next week as our VCS Preps Game of the Week. Complete to Austin, and as we talk about next week's game, the Cougars are moving the football back down to the 26.
Well, we've seen this all night. They've been inside the 30 3 times on their first 3 possessions, no points. They finally got one. So this is now their 5th possession in this game. They're at the 25-yard line. That's impressive, but when you look up at the scoreboard, only 7 points, not the best of signs.
We're seeing a fine dose of Moran, Will, aren't we?
Yeah, he does a nice job of cutting the ball kind of in a quick cutback against the grain off, again, a Palacios block moving from right to left.
And he's pretty much the same size as Mortensen. Mortensen 6', 170. Moran 5'11", 170. So same weight, just 1 less inch on his height. So overall, similar build, which means you can run the same plays, same calls. And when you have that breather, you don't really miss a beat, assuming the blocks are up front the way they should be.
Without question, he just hits the holes a bit sooner, does Moran in that situation.
Smith throws, and it's chewed up. The short route by Brian Penny.
Doing it on both sides this quarter. 3 catches, 2 for first downs last possession, and now a huge hit. He read that play perfectly.
Yeah.
There was no way he wasn't going to make that play on the outside.
No.
One of the best open field tackles we've seen all night.
Yeah, number 16 for the Cougars. Joey Johnson probably needs to shore up the outside block a little on the next occasion.
On third down,
There's that
Mortensen to the 10, and he'll come up a half yard short. What do you think, guys?
Go for it.
Without question, I'm thinking, knowing that we've missed a couple field goals, this thing is going to be the heavy package coming in, I would think.
Deuce, be the voice of reason. You go for it?
No, you go for it. You go for it.
If Derry says you go for it, then you definitely do.
Yeah, considering you've went 4 times now in the red zone, only scored once, this is your 5th time in.
Mortensen out.
Yeah, check in on him, Will,
Moran
for us
in.
if you can.
I'll go check in with Doc Wilson over there after the play.
Here's Moran, and
The
Moran
stretch.
has the first down,
See,
easy.
in some ways, Moran is a good short distance runner because he hits that hole a bit faster.
Yeah, we've mentioned about Mortensen. It sort of waits for a second, more patience, more vision in that aspect. But you're right, Moran, he's just simply a one-cut power type of guy. And not that it didn't work for Mortensen in the first half. 120 yards was fine. But you're right, in short yardage, it's not a bad situation to just have a back that can just dive right in and take the few yards.
And as I peek in, it looks like they're evaluating possibly a high ankle type situation. Doesn't look incredibly severe, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks. Please keep us posted on that, Will. 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. Cougars looking to draw within an extra point. Moran presses forward, but he'll be stacked up right at the original line of scrimmage. 3rd down and goal forthcoming.
This will be the 19th play of this drive.
2:15 to go in the 3rd quarter.
And you
this
almost
quarter's really
1
flown
yard,
by.
2 yards, 3 yards.
And you almost wonder how many plays in the red zone they've had tonight as well, because you look at the scoreboard, 7 points. We're closing in at the end of the 3rd quarter. They've had significant amount of plays in the red zone in comparison to Rio Mesa, and yet only 7 points to show for it. Yeah, that's pretty impressive drive, but you need some points.
Penalty flags down. This will be the 20th play of the drive. That is a staggering figure.
Impressive. And we talked about the Cougars not controlling the ball going into the game, but I'll tell you tonight, quite a few plays. And this is a staggering drive, as you said, Danny.
but another penalty, a killer once again. And this has been the third time now in the red zone tonight they've had a penalty, one hold. This is now the second false start. So overall, for Ventura, you keep shooting yourself in the foot. You can't expect to really find your way to win this type of game. Granted, they're only down 14-7, but now instead of it being short yardage, you have to think they're going to pass here.
Smith drops on 3rd and goal. Looks to run to his right, throws it to the corner, and it's incomplete.
Well covered.
Went for the near side flag, and it went off the hand of his intended target, and now Coach Garcia with a decision to make on 4th and goal.
From the 7, I think you take the 3 points. You hope.
Yeah, you just hope you have to make the 3. That's the thing. They've already missed a 26-yard field goal. Yeah. This is a 24-yarder, so no guarantee.
Well, you're going to have to get a touchdown anyway.
Right-footed kicker from the right hash should be able to hook this one in.
This is pretty much the same spot that he kicked from on the opposite end of the field in the first quarter.
He's
right
just got to hook this.
Only a 24-yard kick. Blasts it through barely on the near side, and it's 14-10 with only 85 seconds left in this third quarter. A 22-play drive. When do you see drives like that? Unreal.
But at least they got points. In this possession, they finally got the 3 points. First possession, they miss it. Second possession, once again, came up short. You're only down 14-10. Your defense held Rio Mesa last time, but you're right. You go significant amount of minutes, 22 plays. You want to punch that in from the 1 yard line with a touchdown. Instead, you have to settle for the field goal. So even though Ventura must feel good that they're back within a score or frankly within 4 points, like Derry said, they're still going to have to score a touchdown if they're going to win this game. And they were close. The penalty killed them. And instead of maybe getting 7, they end with 3. So Rio Mesa, bend but don't break. They bend all the way, but they don't break. They hold them to another field goal attempt. So it's kind of a win for Rio Mesa after going 22 plays on defense to only allow 3.
Well, this is a real reward for the offense to get points, badly needed points, because then they feel much better from themselves if they had gone for it on 4th and not made it.
I agree. 14-10. It's just interesting with how much the ball has been moved in this game that the final score could be something like 17-14.
I was thinking early in the game this was going to be a 35-28 game.
If not more.
Yeah, they were moving the ball so well.
We still have the 4th quarter to go as the ball's returned up to the 30-yard line. To me, as we look through the scores on the VCS Preps Twitter account, to me this is an impressive score looking historically. Oxnard 42, San Luis Obispo nothing. Raymond Caldera has 4 touchdown runs.
Well, there was a time when that Northern League was absolutely dominant. I'm sure the Deuce remembers in the early 2000s, late 90s, where that
Arroyo
league was stacked. Arroyo Grande
and
a Rigetti, they were stacked top to bottom.
Well, let's remember, though, that Paso Robles did win the Northern Division title last year over Newberry Park. So it's not like there hasn't been strength at the top, but I think you've been missing the, volume of elite teams.
I can remember winning the Channel League, and the 3rd-place team in the Northern League was not a favorable draw many times.
Yeah, I think, Will, what's happened really is the Channel League has kind of really fallen apart, too. The Channel League always seemed to have a team that was at least in the semifinals, if not in the championship game.
The first offensive involvement of the night for Jonathan Leonard. He's verbally committed to San Diego State as a safety. He had an ankle injury in the opener. Kent, really a strong debut offensively.
Yeah, good start there. I mean, he's going to fill into this offense when need be, and that time he just sort of gave a quick relief, and now into the game. Motley, they have plenty of weapons. I believe he's now the 6th receiver that's already caught a pass tonight for the Spartans. And you saw it, though. He can make a few guys miss. He can make some plays. We know what Houston can do. You'd like to see Leonard on the field a bit more offensively because he can make guys miss just like he did there.
Well, again, he's been nursing that ankle injury after missing the opener. So I think they want to focus Leonard more on defense. King carries for only 2 yards.
And now the option becomes, do you even run another play here in the third quarter? It's dwindling down. You have the 4-point lead. You're close to midfield, which every team has pretty much crossed midfield all night. So Rio Mesa here, this is a big-time drive. They get a touchdown here, they'll be in great shape. If not, Ventura kind of has the ball moving, only down a score.
And now, as you said, third down coming up with one more play still to run in the quarter after an incomplete pass, so the Cougars could have the ball to start the final period.
Yeah, and these are when both quarterbacks have struggled in third and long. This time they're sticking with Maciel. He showed the ability last possession to not get it done on third and long. Clearly Tyler Smith, the most struggles he's has all night is in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. So overall, this is where Ventura wants him. Play the percentages. Chances are you can get off the field here if you bring some pressure.
They only bring 3. Maciel throws over his intended target, Penny, and the Spartans are punting on 4th down and 8. You know, one thing I think that's been missing, Will, at least historically as we look at Ventura teams in recent years, is the ability to create the big play defensively. They haven't looked close to picking the ball off and taking it the other way, which we've seen so much the last few years.
True, but what they have done is gone to a dime package with 6 defensive backs, as you saw in that last play with the 3-man rush, as you said. It's a different style of Cougar defense. You're not accustomed to seeing a more prevent style from the Cougars. However, very effective tonight against the Spartan club.
High, swirling punt. Fair catch called for, and it's fumbled. It's picked up by Rio Mesa.
Yep.
Hands on head for the return man as the Spartans pick up, about 23 yards on that fumbled punt. And as we go to the fourth quarter, Rio Mesa takes over on the Cougar 38.
Boy,
Well, you
third
have-
big turnover for Ventura.
Deuce, you have to question the decision to even field that punt, as short as it was.
Well, but they had done it earlier in the game.
Twice.
You know, where they fumbled. You know,
Yeah.
that kickoff return or that punt return.
To me, those short punts, you get away and take your chances.
Exactly. You know, it's a short punt anyway. It's nothing.
Well, not only that, and because it's a short punt, the entire coverage team
Is right there.
is right there to
Yep.
recover it. More of a reason, in the old days, we used to have some sort of a Peter call where everybody would get away.
Yeah,
You'd
there
always
were-
have a word you'd yell out.
I remember that one. I was on punt team, I think.
You're on the scout team page. Don't
Right.
get that
The
mistaken.
scout punt
You're on the
team.
scout punt team.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 4 Spartans there just waiting for it the second it was fumbled. Yeah, if that's a 40-yard punt, they're not right there. It's unfortunate because Schaefer has shown good hands all night, but that time put it on the turf. And this game's 14-10, guys, but the one big difference has been the turnovers for Ventura, whether it's on downs, 2 interceptions, 1 a pick 6, and now this. Rio Mesa might end up pulling this game out and not really doing a ton offensively in terms of long possessions. Really, outside of their first touchdown drive, they haven't had one yet since then.
And now Guerrero comes back in at quarterback, not having had the ball in that position since early in the second, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a handoff on his opening play. 2nd and 7 coming.
When he was in there, the offense really gelled. He was 4 for 46 yards. in that first quarter.
Situational football is so important to know how to avoid the penalties and not shoot yourself in the foot. We'll see what happens here.
Guerrero throwing toward Penny. Nice coverage on the play by Christian Schaefer, who was the return man on that punt.
Yeah, Schaefer, Danny, he does it all for the Cougars, wouldn't you think? You know, back there in coverage, in the return game, and as needed offensively. He seems to be very talented in many areas.
To me, he seems to be the 2015 edition of Jack Peterson,
Very much so.
who was a jack of all trades, if you will, for the Cougars. There's a handoff to the left side to Kitlika on 3rd down, and
First
Kitlika picks up the first.
Great physical run off the left tackle there.
Yeah, great run. Probably one of the best they've had all night, maybe outside of the touchdown run. Kitlika, yeah, he keeps that low center of gravity. He lowers that shoulder, and he pretty much says, if you're in the 2nd level or 3rd level, I'm knocking you down. You might tackle me, but you're going backwards, and I'm going to go forward for a yard or 2. Impressive run there, and an interesting call on 3rd down to pull that off. They had faith. and big number 22 on that one.
It was, but big number 70, Omar Villalobos, having a night in the run game, really doing an outstanding job moving his feet and creating those opportunities.
Yeah, all 250 pounds of him?
At least.
Yeah, he might be a little bit more than what he's listed. He's a big guy.
Play fake. Guerrero rolls right, throws short. That is complete to number 28 for Rio Mesa. Dondre Baker goes for a few yards, third and about 6 coming up. And a big third down. Cougars would love to force Rio Mesa into a field goal situation, which would keep the game at simply 1 score.
Yeah, the thing is, with both kickers missing 26-yard field goals already, probably could run it here and then set up even 4th and shorter. I'm not so sure they'd go for a 38-yarder.
There he is. Keep an eye on Houston. They just moved him into the slot and get him the ball immediately.
Second catch of the night and a first down. Steven Sanchez did make a 41-yarder against Camarillo in the opener, but that does not appear to be something that Jim Bittner will have to worry about at this moment. 1st and 10 from the 14.
Well, it appears he's got a good leg. Doesn't he have like a 41-yard field goal this year?
Exactly. 41-yarder against Camarillo. They won't need him. King up the middle and into the end zone. Touchdown, Spartans. They make the Cougars pay on the fumbled punt. A 14-yard touchdown run for King, his second of the night. 20-10 Rio Mesa.
And that's different than his first touchdown. The first one was untouched, off right tackle going towards the end. This time he just goes right up the middle, untouched, 14 yards, and that hurts Ventura big time. And what an answer here for the Spartans. They hadn't done much offensively in a couple quarters. The Cougars get their field goal, the defense holds, and now the Spartans get a 2-score lead. And with 10 minutes left, there's still plenty of time. Last week we saw a 16-point deficit be erased in all of like a 1 minute of game time, maybe even less. But great answer by the Spartans, and that was not only Guerrero, that was a lot of the running game. King and Kitlika both 1-2 punch, very effective.
Well, I think they've got to, Ventura's got to change up what they're doing a little bit offensively. They need to get the ball, to me, somehow in the middle of the field and create an open space there. Outside, they're only getting 3 or 4 yards per completion. They need to get some way to make a big play, and I think the only way it's going to be is right up the middle someplace.
And the one thing is, and Will, I don't know if there's anything more. Obviously, last possession, Mortensen on the sideline getting worked on. Even though Moran came in and was pretty effective, if you're without that big back who had over 100 yards in the first half, it's going to be tough to think that they're going to be able to run the football quite as effectively with him on the sideline.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the Spartans, if they stay in that two-deep zone defense. At some point, the Cougars have got to throw the ball down the middle of the field and take a shot over the middle, maybe in the play-action game or on a quick slant, something, because the Spartans have really shored up the outside, and now the running game for the Cougars will be challenged.
Let's see if the return game is challenged. Short kick. It'll bounce at the 25. It takes a Spartan bounce, and luckily Palacios is there to go up and get it. There was really no one within 5 yards at the time the ball hit the deck.
Yeah, I know Will
takes over at the 27.
Will mentioned earlier you don't want your linemen up there catching those. Well, you also don't want nobody to catch the ball when it lands. That's a live football. That was in that sweet spot about 5 yards in front of the return man and 5 yards behind all the up men. And fortunately, Palacios, his head was in the game, because if he doesn't go up and grab that, chances are the Spartans might run into it and pick up the ball. And kind of fortunate there that Palacio was heads up and the Cougars have the football. That was not the best kick, but it worked to their advantage and nearly cost Ventura again.
No question there. Nice run off tackle there for Moran.
Moran gets it to the 31-yard line, as PA announcer Dean Profit proclaims as we near the 10-minute mark. Derry, Ventura, I think, will walk away from this game if they don't come away with a win and say, how did we only put up 10 points, 17 points, so on and so forth, and rush for so many yards?
Well, they'll look at the turnovers, the big penalties in the red zone. They've just shot themselves in the foot time after time.
Yeah, you have to be efficient in the red zone. That's one way you can escape with the victory if you're not moving the football very well. But when you're moving the ball well, that's also a way you give the other team a game. And the fact that they have 10 points and they've been in the red zone 5 times, that's a good sign for Rio Mesa. You have to give them some credit. The Spartans' defense has stepped up in the red zone. There's no doubt about that. But it's not like the Cougars haven't had opportunities to maybe punch 1 or 2 in. They've had false starts, they've had holding calls, and then missed field goals. A bunch of stuff that would have made this certainly at least a one-possession game, if not for those miscues.
Very opportunistic Spartan team tonight. They have certainly executed well when they've needed to.
Smith tosses it over to this near side. Pass complete to Ian McKenzie. And McKenzie's run out of bounds at the 37-yard line. First down for Ventura. One thing I want to go back to, too, that Ventura has relied on so much in their recent runs, it's exactly what you said, Will, being opportunistic, specifically defensively, and they just haven't looked close to creating any turnovers on the other side tonight.
No, the Cougar defense, there's a nice curl route in the hole.
Well, finding some space to throw the ball finally.
That was McKenzie again, so it's helping now that Smith has a target he seems fairly comfortable with, back-to-back pass completions. But yes, I agree, the Cougar defense has got to start forcing the issue a bit with the Spartans.
Smith looks to have found a bit of a stride as he hands off on that same stretch play to Moran. Fumble, and it's picked up by, it looked like it went in and out of the hands of a Rio Mesa player. And it is Rio Mesa football. Another turnover from Ventura in the second half. And with 8:54 to go, just when the Cougars started to find some momentum, Spartan football.
Yeah, another crushing blow to this offense, another turnover, and that's been the difference tonight. I think whenever we do our post-game wrap-up, now there's still 9 minutes left, this game's not over, but if Rio Mesa hangs on and wins this game, that's going to be the big thing that we discuss, is just the turnovers and that being the difference. The
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that.
Thanks,
You're
Terry.
just going to have to get another subject.
Thanks, Terry.
I'm getting it out now then. I'm doing it in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Josiah King. Here's King across midfield. He has had a game. You look at Josiah King's performance and think, I would like to have seen this young man tote the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. He's looked good. They haven't given him 30-plus carries like we've seen with Brock Mortensen before he went down, but he's been effective, 2 touchdowns, shown good ability. And this line has held up this half pretty well. That last possession, this offensive line really did its job.
Speaking of the offensive line, we talked about Villalobos, but how about his big buddy, number 74, Peyton McKenzie? They are having a night on the left side, just moving anything in their way to create openings.
Yeah, Villalobos listed at 250 and then McKenzie 275. That's some big bodies, and when you're a defensive lineman and you're having those guys just wear you down, it's one thing in the first, second quarter, you'll rotate linemen. By the end of the game, those guys will wear you out. We're in the fourth quarter. That's when you start to see a lot of the times the difference when, even though you can rotate D linemen, you get big bodies on the other side. Fourth quarter, a lot of times, your legs aren't quite as fresh as what they were when we kicked this game off at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, the Spartans do a lot of what we call double-team chip blocking, where you'll see basically 600 pounds coming at one defensive lineman, and they start with the double team, and then they kind of work their way to the second level, and that can be a disaster for an undersized defensive lineman. And the way to counter that, we were talking earlier, Danny, you need more movement and more blitz-type stunts out of the Cougars to try to create some missed opportunities.
Yeah, they haven't really brought as much pressure tonight. I wonder why that is.
I don't know, but that's what I was referring to. When you're outsized up front, sometimes you need that movement and those stunts to change it up a little bit.
Let's bring you up to speed on some of the scores from throughout the region. Remember to follow VCS Preps on Twitter. Congrats to the entire Ventura County Star Sports team. More than 15,000 followers now. Very impressive. Special shout out to our main man, Joe Curley, for what he does in the social media world. The man is an absolute machine. St. Bonaventure 42, Redlands East Valley 27 in a shootout at Will Cowan's main house. Of course, the Ventura College Sportsplex. Grace Brethren in the fourth quarter leads Western Christian 75-0. Oaks Christian blanking Venice 42-zip. Same goes for Lompoc over Nordoff. That's 49-0. Jake Constantine is trying to lead Camarillo to another win as he scrambles for 10 yards on a big 3rd and 5. It's 21-13 in that game. Moore Park leading 22-16 over St. Francis, and that'll pretty much round up the games with recent updates. We do have Newbury Park and Agora tied at 21 at the start of the third quarter. No more recent update there.
Boy, Agora's playing pretty well for a team that's really hasn't. They played a really good game against Ventura. It was 28-20, and they're playing pretty well against the big Newbury Park team.
They are in a challenging league. Here's King on first down. He's just really running downhill at this point.
And I think it's a smart thing if you're Rio Mesa. Run the football, kill as much clock as you can, and you're up 2 scores. So you have a pretty good back in King that you can rely on. You have a good offensive line, as we've discussed the past half hour, how big these guys are up front. Worst case is you're in plus territory, you punt the ball, force it deep, up 11 points. It's not the worst thing in the world. Keep running it and just really kill as much clock as you can. And then if you keep running it, play action once, you might get a wide open receiver, and that could be really salt this game away.
King loses a yard on that play. Shout out to the Rio Mesa volleyball Twitter account, as it appears the volleyball team is on the road and they're tuning into our broadcast. Great stuff. If you have thoughts on tonight's game, feel free to send us a tweet at VCS Preps. I want to correct one score. It's actually St. Francis on top of Moore Park. They've just scored again, 29-16 in the fourth quarter.
Boy, right about the 7-minute mark right now. Ventura really has to get something going right away.
It is 3rd down and 16. It is 3rd down and 21.
Well, it's 3:16, and they have a receiver named Austin. So if you're Ventura has a player named Austin. So if you're a wrestling fan, you know what that number means. Not to mention, there's an Eddie Guerrero at quarterback. He won the WWF championship at WrestleMania 20 back in the day. So there's all these wrestling things all over the field here if you are a pro wrestling fan. And if you're not, well, I'm sorry, I just wasted 30 seconds.
I think Will identifies with that a little bit.
I could see Will being an old school, like, Macho Man and, Roddy Piper fan.
There's no question that I have an autographed Hulk Hogan poster in my office.
Here's Houston breaking free on 3rd down. He ends up short of the first down, but on that screen pass that he brought back to the far side of the field, 4th and 9, and maybe a decision here for Rio Mesa. I think they might try and go for it. A first down it brings you pretty close to victory, let's put it that way.
4th and 8?
Or maybe you try to draw them off sides, take the 5-yard penalty, and now Ventura steps in and they call a timeout. That was a good gain. You're 3rd and 16. You pick up 9 yards to set up 4th and 7. That's probably the right call. I kind of feel like they were just maybe trying to draw them off and then see if you can go for 4th and 2. But overall, I've been impressed with Guerrero here in the second half. I think he got the start. Maciel came in. He looked okay. But I know, Derry, you said he was 4 of 4 at the half, Guerrero. I think he's only had one other incompletion. So overall, he's been pretty effective when passing the football all night.
7 of 8 for 72 yards.
Yeah, has he not looked like the better quarterback? They both have shown ability, but I feel like there's a reason they gave him the start, and he's looked pretty sharp. And I don't know. I still feel like here, I like going for 4th and 7 if you're near, let's say you're at the 30-yard line. But from the 41, that's a bit more challenging, especially because Ventura has shown some good receivers. Maybe you hit him over the top and get a quick 7, but I have a feeling they're probably going to, would think probably punt here.
Well, Ventura's got to score twice. So I would go for it right now, yeah.
If you pick up a first down, you can take another 2.5 minutes off the clock. This one's just about done. It's a quick kick, a quick punt, and this might be one of the shorter punts we'll see all season. It goes 4 yards.
Yeah, that looked like my pitching wedge trying to get onto the green the other day, just shanking it. And now all of a sudden, turnover on downs where you punt the ball, but good field position once again for Ventura. You need some points here, but if you can, again, get a quick 7, kick off the ball, you get a stop, you can get the ball back here, and this game is far from over. And the fact that your ball's on the 35, you're a first down away, you're near midfield, you still have a fighting chance.
Tyler Smith really started to find some rhythm on a couple throws, and then Ventura fumbled on the next play. Smith throws over the middle of the field. That is caught despite the big hit. First down for the Cougars.
Yeah, staying in and making that catch big time was Eric Austin. We saw him in the first quarter. He had a few catches that time, just sat in that zone, picked off about 11, and really good throw. Smith's shown good ability on first down. His ineffectiveness has been on 3rd and long and 2nd and long.
Inside screen pass beyond midfield. About a 4-yard gain for Joey Thompson.
The only problem is the clock keeps running here. It's almost like 4 yards doesn't help you as opposed to losing 30 seconds. So if you're Rio Mesa, you'll trade 30 seconds for 4 yards this entire possession.
Yeah, interesting. No Ian McKenzie, number 89, on the field for the Cougars.
Offside Rio Mesa.
He was partially responsible for that nice drive the Cougars had, a couple catches.
And that's a big penalty because now it makes it 2nd and 1. You can look to run the football, stop the clock, and then quickly get up to the line, and you'll still have over 5 minutes left. Plus, right now, the clock's not, it's going to keep rolling, but they can get set pretty quickly.
2nd and 1. Inside give, again to Moran. Looks like Mortenson's night is predominantly done.
Boy, they really miss him, a guy we talked about before, can really make the big plays. 3 plays for over 63 yards in the first 2 games.
Not only is Mortensen done, but big 55, Isaac Hernandez, appears to be getting looked at as well. So the injury is piling up for the Cougars.
He was hurt on the last series.
Smith sacked. McBride on the sack. 2nd and 17.
And that's what you just can't afford right now if you're Ventura. One thing for an incompletion, clock stops. But when you lose yardage and the clock keeps going, that's brutal.
Screen pass, and Rio Mesa saw that one coming from a mile away, Coach Cowan.
Yes, they did. One of the things as a defensive lineman, when you feel yourself suddenly not being blocked all of a sudden, you can put on the brakes and sniff out that back.
And then it's 3rd and very long. This is where this defense has shown all night its ability to penetrate, get through, force pressure on Smith. They've done it on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. 3rd and 17 here, I would bring the heat and really force him to make a quick decision. It's the one thing he hasn't done all night is make good, quick decisions.
Only a 4-man rush. Intercepted! Coming back to the other side, I believe is Leonard, is it? Returned to the 45-yard line.
Yep, number 10, Jonathan Leonard, with a tremendous anticipation of, again, the long out route from the Cougars.
Yeah, we've mentioned that's been a struggling throw all night. 3rd and long has been very inefficient all night. And then Leonard, that's why he's going to San Diego State. Read the play correctly, jumped the route, and then picks it off and returns it all the way past midfield. That's a heck of an effort, and that looks like a Division I prospect seeking out a 3rd and 17. So I know you don't want to mention it in the postgame, but turnovers, Deuce, they've been really the difference tonight. And you have to give so much credit. I know you were joking. You have to give so much credit to the Spartans, though. They've come up. I know, Danny, you said that the Cougars haven't shown that ability to make the big play defensively. The Spartans all night have shown that ability.
Sprinting to the right side is Diaz. It's been the story, though. I think the turnovers and inability to capitalize in the red zone, Derry.
Yep. As well as the penalties.
Spartans put a lot of athletes on the field, and I am so impressed at the high school level how well they distribute the touches amongst the offense.
We're going to have quite a race in the Pacific View League, aren't we, between Rio Mesa, Oxnard, and Pacifica, it looks like at the moment. The strength of the three teams is Oxnard is 2-1 on the year. They were 42-0 winners at Slow. I'll tell you what, anytime you make that long ride up to San Luis Obispo and blank the home team, that's impressive.
Yes, it is, especially on a warm day, and the whole deal going up there is hard. So hats off to the Yellow Jackets for a great start.
3rd down and 6. 3 minutes and 5 seconds remaining.
Don't be surprised this is a give here.
Pacifica looks great as well, obviously.
Yeah, Coach Moon and company have done a nice job there. It's going to be interesting this year.
Procedure penalty on the way against Rio Mesa. Will, when you're not obviously front and center on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star, you're the athletic director at Ventura College. How's Pirate football looking, and who do the Pirates play tomorrow?
Pirate football started the year with a shutout victory at home against Fullerton College. Both teams were in the Final Four last year, so anytime you get a 31-0 victory, you got to think we're going to be okay this year. We're home tomorrow, 6 o'clock against El Camino College, another perennial powerhouse in the Southern California area.
4th down, forthcoming. Go out and see the Pirates whenever you can. It's a great experience to have quality football close to home. If you just love the game of football, there is nothing crazier and more off the wall than California community college football. It is unbelievable.
The level of athletic ability on the field is unprecedented at any level, Division II and below. There's talent everywhere. There's good players. And I'll tell you what else. It's a great college environment. We've had 2,500 people or so, plus another 1,000 online. So it's catching on, the Pirate Fever. It's definitely catching on here in town.
And you just see some of the weirdest, wildest situations unfold. It's a lot of fun.
There is no question that anything that can and may happen usually does in a community college football game.
Great stuff. 4th down and 12, and Rio Mesa will punt. Hopefully this goes farther than the last punt for the Spartans, which was 3 yards. Nearly over the head of the punter. He kicks it away. It does go closer to about 30.
That was a nice job there by Sanchez to not only field it, but then to punt it all the way down to what looks like it's going to be the 2-yard line. So that's going to go for 50 yards on the punt. And fortunate that he even was able to catch it, but what a job. And again, when the bounces are going your way and things are the chips are falling your way, sometimes things like that work out for you. That could have been a disaster. Instead, it's one of the best punts we'll probably see all year. And that's one of the differences tonight. The Spartans, they've capitalized off of potential miscues. The Cougars have been unfortunate. They haven't been able to pounce on those at all.
You wonder whether Ventura's gotten a little gun shy after the last 2 punt returns have not turned out well.
Their game really turned on that fumbled punt return. It was 14-10. The Cougars had a big stop. They were getting the ball back, and following that, Rio just went right down the field and scored. Here's Smith to throw along the near side. That's complete. Is it to Mortensen out at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, he comes back into the game and catches one.
Why even risk him at this point? He picked up an injury earlier. There's only 2 minutes left. I don't know. It might keep him on the sideline.
A lot of the times the Cougars will use their tailback as the third receiver in those trips type formations. Derry was talking about a young man named Derek Swafford earlier who was a master at catching the ball from that position out in the flats.
Penalty against Rio Mesa moves Ventura beyond the 20-yard line. Thanks so much for joining us on the VCS Preps Game of the Week presented by the Ventura County Star. My name is Danny Page. With me, the Deuce, Derry Eads, Kent Brown, and down on the field is Will Cowan. We'll, of course, have a VCS Preps post-game extra for you fine folks coming up over the weekend. We'll have highlights. We'll include highlights from this game as well as our final analysis. Rio Mesa and Ventura. And obviously, that'll put you in the know. And if you like being in the know, subscribe to the Ventura County Star. Discover what's happening in your neighborhood at a price less than your daily cup of coffee. You can be informed. Stay in the know. Sign up today, vcstar.com. 2 minutes And 4 seconds to go in this one, gentlemen. Smith, forced to throw, complete, up to Palacios at the 48-yard line.
He's had a nice game, whether it's blocking, receiving, obviously special teams, heads-up plays. He's been a contributor. I like what I've seen from Palacios, and so he's one of those guys, as this season goes on, I feel like Ventura can rely on him, and they can look at him. He's only a junior, so you have pretty much an entire season this year and all of next year. He can become a real weapon in the future for this Cougars team.
You wonder where throws were like this in the first half. You know, you wonder where throws like this were in the red zone.
Some of it might be the defense giving them quick yardage and not letting them beat you over the top. But, yes, it's actually been one of those things, to be honest. When Smith's been the quarterback on first down, he's looked very good. It's been that 3rd and 8, 3rd and 13, 2nd and 7 is when he struggled.
Well, there is less pressure by the defense.
Yeah, he's had more of a cushion to throw, obviously. 98 seconds left. Suppose Ventura Cougars have one timeout left. They could score in the next 30, 40 seconds. Kick an onside kick, get the ball back.
Yeah, that's the one thing. If you are your Coach Bittner, the last thing you want is something deep over the top, a quick score. You'll let them get 5-7 yards every time. It's not going to hurt you. Or you can lose
5
yards.
to 7 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, loss of 6.
Moran brought down in the backfield. 4th and 7. And this is Ventura's last shot here in week 2. Remember, week 3, we will be at Santa Paula High School for the most played rivalry game in the state, I believe. Smith will throw, complete to Schaefer for the first down. He's out of bounds at the 33-yard line. 1st and 10 Cougars.
Not over yet. That was the 4th down completion. Game is still, it's looking to go Rio Mesa's way, but it's not quite done yet, especially with these receivers. We've seen them show the ability to make a few guys miss.
Smith to Schaefer. Nice catch as the ball was behind him. And he has the ball ripped out. Fumbles, and it's Rio Mesa football. That will seal it for the Spartans. Scenes of elation. This is a big win for Jim Bittner's program.
That's now their 7th possession after that catch that they've been inside the 25. 7 times, only 10 points. So at the end of the day, it's been this Rio Mesa defense stepping up, forcing turnovers on down. Whatever it is, they've kept them out of the end zone, kept them from putting points on the board. You get that close to the goal line 7 times, you have to come up with more points. They just simply haven't.
You know, Ventura going to have more than 400 yards in this game.
And 10 points. Jonathan Leonard being helped to the sideline. Might have to go in another direction there, Will. We're hoping to speak with a Rio Mesa Spartan after the game, as we'll provide our final thoughts. You always look for that one key stat, don't you, Deuce, that really tells the story. And that's it tonight. 400-plus total yards at home for Ventura, and they only have 10 points on the board.
And the best formation in football for one team and the most disappointing for the other one, the victory formation. And it's been an earned win on the defensive side for Rio Mesa tonight. The offense has done what it needed to enough to win the game. Certainly they were more than fine to get the job done, but it is that defense stepping up. And like you mentioned, 400-plus yards, have to get more points than that. The defense stepped up, found ways to make plays, plus the special teams unit also found one. Really, the play of the game, the big difference was that 74-yard interception return. That was, in actuality, the game-winning score tonight. So just a great job by the Rio Mesa defense to hunker down in the red zone and step up.
Rio Mesa takes a knee and takes home a huge momentum-building road win as the clock now strikes 0. Spartans 21, Cougars 10. Ventura falls to 1-2 on the year. They host Saugus next week, while Rio Mesa at 2-1 visits unbeaten Santa Barbara in an interesting game next week up on Milpas Street. Final score tonight, 21-10. Rio Mesa tops Ventura. Deuce, your final thoughts?
The 5 turnovers, I mean, that just killed them. Ventura's able to move the ball, but boy, I tell you what, Rio Mesa played hard, and they played well defensively when they had to win the game.
We're just about to speak with a Rio Mesa player. Check with Will Cowan down on the field and see if he's ready with Jonathan Leonard. Not yet. Yeah, I think Will's ready to go. Will is with Jonathan Leonard, the San Diego State-bound safety. Will?
Danny here with Jonathan Leonard, as you said. First of all, congratulations on a big win. What are your thoughts on Coach Bittner and just the change in culture that's going on right now in Rio Mesa?
Well, ever since Coach Bittner came, it's been a different pace, different type of game. We've just been getting after ever since he came. So he's a hard work type of dude, and he expects hard work from us, and we give it.
Well, knowing the community college level as well as I do, he does a great job getting the ball distributed to all your guys. Talk a little about how many weapons you have on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
In my opinion, everybody is a weapon on my team. Defense, offense, we have too many weapons. I don't think anyone on our team can be stopped. And, yeah, we all work hard. So.
Well, congratulations again. You guys do a phenomenal job. Really, you playing together as a team. And one final thought. Talk about the defense tonight. How opportunistic were you guys in terms of forcing turnovers and also not making too many mistakes?
All week it's been do not make mistakes because they will capitalize on it. And Coach Rod, Coach Andrews, well, as you might know, he tells us the little things, and that's what we did. We competed and went after it, and that's what happens. Coach H as well, you know, he's been telling us we could play with anybody, and that's what we did.
Absolutely. So the Pacific View League this year could be tough. Oxnard, big blowout win at Slow. Tritons are doing well. Should be fun to watch you guys in the new Pacific View League. Any final thoughts for us?
Well, we're going to win the Pacific View League, and we might make a run for CIF.
Well, best of luck to you. Best of luck this season. All right, take care, buddy. Back to you, Danny.
Thank you, Will Cowan. It's a confident young man. You love to see that from a team that goes and gets a big road win.
Yeah, he has confidence, and he should have confidence. He's an athletic player. Leonard makes plays, and that really was the difference. I mean, there really isn't much else to say except for the fact that you force turnovers, you bend but don't break, and ultimately opportunistic is one thing, but when you go out and you make the plays like Leonard did on the interception, or clearly the other big play was Atwater with his interception, he read the quarterback, picked it off, and then went 74 yards the other way and made a tackler miss. So it's not like this defense just sat back and picked balls up. They went out there and made plays, and as Leonard said, work hard, bring that lunch pail mentality. That's what they did, and they earned the win tonight.
A teaching moment for the Cougars and a statement win for the Rio Mesa Spartans. The opportunistic Spartans win 21-10. I got to say, this was an opportunistic broadcast crew. I look forward to working again with this group next week. For Will Cowan down on the field, for the Deuce, Derry Eads, and Kent Brown, my name is Danny Page. Big thanks to our producer, Anthony Placencia, and John Catalini, and the entire VC Star Sports editorial staff. Spartans move on. We move out to Santa Paula. The fight for the 126 freeway is live next week as Santa Paula meets Fillmore. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.